up and show up on basic commodities ahead of what appears to be a dry spell. Now, the government removed duties on basic commodities, which was supposed to run up until the commencement of 2024. But from the budget, there was no indication of that. Question is, what's your stance where this is actually concerned? And what effect could this have on the Zimbabwean economy?
I think with the removal of duty on basic commodities, it was welcome by consumers because it was a move to reduce prices or to curb the unabated price
inflation.
Yes, but obviously it's not very welcome to the local industry or the local producers who feel that when these prices are very low, it means that whatever they produce is probably not going to be sold as much, because they remember when those who import on duty free, the competition doesn't become fair now for the local producers who have to sell and factor in all their costs. It means their products may end up being more expensive than those that have been imported. So I think in terms of the local industry, it's not very good, and it may end up slowing production on that front, although it is good for the consumers who are going to access those products cheaply.
Right, let's talk about the industry capacity utilization there, Blessing. It's not been where we want it to be, ranging anywhere between 40 to 58. They're about 61% sometimes, at least over the past decade or so, and even beyond. Given the aspect of the commodities and the aspect of the duties, what can we then expect in 2024 if things remain the way they are?
I think more has to be done on that end to ensure that production is going to increase, and we also increase industry capacity. I think one of the issues is policies, government policies. I think government policies have to be favorable to the investor. They have to be favorable to those who produce. The issue of removal of duty, I think it's also a hindrance on the local producers. It affects them because whatever they produce is not going to compete fairly with whatever that is going to be imported. So that does not do well as far as industry capacity is concerned, because what we want is to actually improve production and encourage more investments. So on the investment side, we can talk about FDI. The government has to do more favorable policies that actually attract FDI and ultimately increase the production.
Now, Nigel, Zimbabwe has a debt of 18 billion US dollars, the bulk of which is actually external debt, and that has been something that even government has paid attention to, resulting in them coming up with a high debt resolution that is led by the former president of Mozambique, Dr. Joaquim Chissano, as well as the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. I want you to speak to the weight and the burden of that debt on the Zimbabwean economy.
If you look at the burden of that debt on the Zimbabwe economy, it's in two ways. First and foremost, because Zimbabwe has such a debt, they are not able to access new funds from the international banks or from any lenders. And the impact of that now, because we are a growing economy, there are a lot of things that we need to improve. If you look at our infrastructure is weak, you were talking about capacity utilization. Some of the factors that are affecting capacity utilization is because we do not have money to fund some of these projects, some of the sectors of the economy. So if you look at it, Zimbabwe is not getting more funds because of that debt. And in cases where Zimbabwe is getting fund, they are getting it at a higher interest rate because of the debt that they already have. So whoever is lending to Zimbabwe, they are reluctant to give them at a lower interest rate. They're giving them at a higher interest rate. If you get debt at a higher interest rate, it's definitely going to affect your returns. It's going to affect even how you're going to make profitable use of that particular money. So that has been a burden to Zimbabwe. But what, like what you're saying, the president of the African Development Bank, one of the key issues that he recommended that Zimbabwe should now focus on improving its relationship with other countries. They should focus in improving their relationship with international players, with other banks in the international market, which could improve how we assess the foreign currency. And also some of the key issues that have been raised by our neighbors, policy changing, looking at human rights, things like that. As far as the debt is concerned, these are matters that we need to look at. And also the government need to be very transparent as far as this debt is concerned and ways that they have employed